Now, so the argument I have is that that is also decontextual knowledge. It sits there, it has no context. Whereas in regard to mātauranga āiwi, tribal knowledge is where I've got it vertically. To me, that is contextual knowledge. And you see my artwork's not the greatest. It's supposed to show that it's fixed into a land base. And the land base, every Maori tribe has a particular district territory of land they occupy. And if we were to peel things back to their simplest sense, iwi or tribal epistemologies is just simply the language used to describe the environment they live within and how they engage with that environment. And that there forms the basis of that particular tribal knowledge relevant to that particular tribe. To me, that is contextual knowledge. As a Tūhoe person, my area is Te Urewera, so that is my base, that is my foundation. So at all times I understand how I relate and I connect to that particular piece of land. That is my context. That gives me the basis as to where I am, who I am, and where I go. Now, sitting in between these strands, I've got this notion of kaupapa Māori theory. And simply, if we looked at generic knowledge in mātauranga Māori, there's a danger that generic knowledge unwittingly will begin to usurp mātauranga Māori. Begins to overtake it, begins to change it, and then it loses its context. It loses its shape, it loses its understanding. So, separating these two particular strands is my interpretation of this element of kaupapa Māori. And it simply means, if you're moving out of one particular strand, out of generic knowledge into mātauranga Māori, there's a reconscientization that needs to occur. Simply mean, the generic knowledge, my education and mainstream teaching, mainstream schooling, crafted and created a set of lens for me to view this particular world. Now that set of lens was created for the principles, the values that came out of those mainstream schooling, out of the mainstream schooling. Now, as I move from that worldview into a mātauranga Māori worldview, I need to create and craft a new set of lenses. Because if I take the lenses that were created for that generic worldview and try and understand, use them to understand and interpret mātauranga Māori, I'm trying to understand something from a different worldview, using a different set of values and principles. And then we begin to do that horrible thing in creating assumptions. We begin talking past each other, we miss the point. So simply, kaupapa Māori theory, the reconscientization that's got to occur, is just simply taking off that set of lenses, putting on another set of lenses, and then you will begin to see the issues of why the term Māori is problematic for Māori. And that in there, the actual true understanding of elements within Māori sit in a tribal context. Now, and again, some of the key terms I'm going to use in here is there's this notion of whakapapa. Whakapapa generally has been referred to as genealogy. It is that. However, if we were to trace this particular word back to its simple root basis, it talks about te whakaraupapa, simply meaning laying things out in their sequential order of events. This come first, this come next, this followed. Knowledge has a whakapapa. Knowledge has a sequential order of events. Our case within Tūhoe, the pōhiri process, we don't pōhiri at night. Not because we're frightened of the dark or we want to go home and watch Shortland Street or the news or whatever, but it simply goes back to a particular time probably around the late 1600s, where a particular group of people left on marae. They went out to gather food. While they were gathering food, they were attacked and killed. The people who attacked and killed them realised the marae this group had left would be expecting them to return. So they changed their appearance to kind of look like this group that they had just slaughtered. They waited till it was just on dark, entered onto the marae. The people at home saw the group entering the complex, assumed it was the group had gone out to get food, paid them no heed. By the time they realised what had happened, the marae was attacked, killed, and the marae fell. So from that particular concept, we don't pōhiri at night. So if you come into Tūhoe in the area at night, if it's a tangi, you'll see the flag down, and it's the indicator not to come in. So again, whakapapa, mātauranga has a knowledge, it has a contextual knowledge, it has a sequential order of events. The other concept we tend to talk about is this concept of Mauri. And everything within Te Ao Māori, everything within the Māori worldview has a Māori. And again, if we peel this back to its simplest sense, in here we've got two words. We've got mā, which is simply a particle, uri, relation. It simply stresses the point that every single thing has a relationship. And it's how we draw that relationship between things is what's terribly important. Everything must have a context which supports and fits into each other. Whakapapa just simply lays them out. Okay, if it wasn't for Maori, these things that were laid out by whakapapa would be just mutually exclusive. It would just hang there. It wouldn't have a relationship to the thing that followed. Maori is that connecting element that connects the first thing to the second thing. The purpose of going back and looking at that framework, talking about whakapapa, talking about Maori, is getting me to this point of drawing the analogy for literacy for Maori. It's got to come from a particular context that sits and resonates with Maori. These next couple of slides, again, are taken from a report that is going to be produced to TEC in the next coming weeks. It is alluded to in the report that's going to be released this afternoon, and it talks around this notion of Māori-centred community learning. Within Te Whare Wānanga Awanuia, we have been running a number of ACE programs in our iwi development school. And working with TEC, there has been a wee bit of research done into this particular program to try and understand what are the elements that make this program particularly unique. So the TEC goals with regard to ACE funding were there, and then the evaluation of this program followed fairly well much those 5 key points that are listed there. Now, the key thing with the work that Tū Waka and his staff do within iwi development is quite remarkable. From 2001, there are currently 11 courses delivered within ACE, generally covering elements of cultural capital, identity, social capital and cohesiveness, environmental awareness and personal development. There are over 300 marae the school has delivered to. In that 300 marae, there have been over 1,000 ACE funded programs to approximately 54,000 learners. 80% of the marae involved in this program advance to being involved with higher level qualifications. 90% of enrolled students in level 3 and 4 have pathway through the ACE program.